their thoughts will be essentially on this world and not what allegedly follows. The elite know that it's much more difficult to take advantage of people who place great importance upon their material conditions and eliminating deprivation than to abuse those to whom everyday living conditions are of little consequence. For this reason, believers are repeatedly told to avoid goods, surrender possessions, and forego any attempt to improve themselves materially. In the earlier quotes, believers were told to work hard and support the system. When these two instructions are combined, it becomes apparent that believers are being taught to work diligently while renouncing and giving up that which they produce. To say instructions of this kind favor the top echelon is to utter the obvious. An essential factor in the equation is rejecting possessions and material improvements. Persuading people to repudiate those aspects of life necessary for a decent, beautiful, productive, meaningful existence for the unsubstantiated promise of eternal happiness in a never-never land of sweet bliss is an awesome assignment indeed, even for the New Testament. This consideration undoubtedly accounts in large measure for the constant assertion that one should reject this world. Relevant verses in this regard are, again, remember we're talking about rejecting this world, Colossians 3:2. Keep your minds fixed on things there, not on things on earth. Philippians 3:8. For His, that is, Jesus' sake, I have thrown away everything. I consider it all as mere garbage. 1 John 2:15-16. Do not love the world or anything that belongs to the world. If you love the world, you do not love the Father. Everything that belongs to the world, none of this comes from the Father. Luke 12:33-34. Sell all your belongings and give the money to the poor. Provide for yourself purses that don't wear out, and save your riches in heaven. For your heart will always be where your riches are. And 1 Timothy 6:7-10. What did we bring into the world? Nothing. What can we take out of the world? Nothing. So then, if we have food and clothes, that should be enough for us. In Luke 12:16-21, Jesus told a parable about a man who decided to store his abundant harvest in new and bigger barns and live a life of ease and luxury off of his stored grain and other goods. Then God appeared to him and said, "You fool, this very night you will have to give up your life. Then who will get all these things you have kept for yourself?" Unquote. The moral of this fable is that worldly goods are of little worth and provide no long-term security. Eventually, they'll have to be surrendered to others. The negative aspect of such teachings lies in the fact that there's nothing wrong with loving material enhancement and a more affluent environment as long as they're not obtained at the expense of others and are not seen as ends in themselves, but as a means to enrich, improve, and ennoble life in general. Any effort to improve one's material status involves love to some degree. Why would people seek to have more goods and a better life if love weren't involved? In effect, the New Testament is secretly teaching people not to compete with those in control for material goods. Believers are not only taught to slough off belongings, but to give away that which they possess. Two instructions that would all but eliminate them as competitors. Prime verses are Luke 18:22. Sell all you have and give the money to the poor. Matthew 5:40. And if someone takes you to court to sue you for your shirt, let him have your coat as well. Matthew 19:21. If you want to be perfect, go and sell all you have and give the money to the poor, and you'll have riches in heaven. And Luke 14:33. None of you can be my disciple unless he gives up everything he has. Unquote. Again, the humanitarian facade of biblical teachings hides a sinister motive and a tragic result. Being kind toward the poor is a comparatively harmless and useless approach to the poverty problem. But when directed toward others in society, which is unavoidable as long as believers are taught to view humanitarianism as a virtue without regard to differences in influence, disparities will grow. Charity toward all that doesn't consider who has power is a self-defeating proposition. As long as the elite is not bothered, conditions will endure. And as long as conditions endure, donations to the poor will be far outweighed by forces creating vast wealth differentials. In our next program, we'll continue showing how the Bible aids an elite. That completes our presentation. And please join us later for the 95th edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, when we'll continue showing how the Bible, why the Bible is nothing more than the flawed composition of some fallible human beings. Thank you for listening.